Good morning, everybody. This is Mr. Lamond, and this is World History. Unit 9, Test Review, dealing with the American and the French Revolutions. So I've got 3 slides here. And what you'll do is you'll have an opportunity to pause the screen, figure out which order or which terms go where, and then unpause the screen to get the answers. And we'll talk through them a little bit just to help review you for your Unit 9 test later in the week. All right, so here we got American Revolution and French Revolution. Check out the terms, see which goes under which column, and keep in mind that there might be some that are a little sneaky. So go ahead and push pause on your screen, figure it out, and when you push unpause, we'll head towards the answer. Okay, if you've unpaused, you've now gotten to the point where you realize that we've set these terms in the proper column. You notice that you see the initial battle, the shot heard round the world at Lexington and Concord. Of course, the turning point battle of Saratoga. Our first government, the Articles of Confederation. Notice we have Enlightenment in here. We've got Enlightenment in here twice. Now, what's the difference? Well, one looks to say that the Enlightenment worked, and one says the Enlightenment might not have worked. Think about your evidence for how the Enlightenment worked with the American Revolution. You know, the way that our government changed to include separation of powers and freedom of speech and natural rights. Whereas over here in the French Revolution, they started with a king, had a reign of terror, and went back to a king. Maybe it didn't work so well. We have our final battle, Yorktown. The fact that we are aided by the French. I guess theoretically maybe you could put both. That in both columns. King George, Declaration of Independence, and George Washington. Over on the French side, we have the National Assembly, that group from the Estates General, the Third Estate, that had been removed by King Louis. Bastille, of which they stormed. Robespierre, Mr. Reign of Terror. And then in the middle, we got attacked by the British, because we were both attacked by the British. Emperor Napoleon, the Directory, which he overthrew, Tennis Court Oath, and Enlightenment. All right, let's move on to some chronology. All right, so you've got 15 events dealing with the American Revolution. So go ahead and push pause, get out a piece of paper, and see if you can get the numbers in the correct order as to how things started with the American Revolution. Okay, go ahead and push pause. Here's your correct order. So notice that the formation of colonies, of course, immediately causes salutary neglect. We're too far away for them to rule us completely. And one of those ways that we deal with being neglected was the Mayflower Compact. And when that started, well, in a way, self-government in America began. Now the relationship changes between us. We stop being neglected when the British start to enforce mercantilism to gain more money. And then when they help us with the French and Indian War, of course, wars cause money and debt. And the way you deal with debt is through taxes. The British start taxing us. We were frustrated because it was taxation without representation. That led to some problems, especially when the troops showed up and were quartered. So that gives us the Boston Massacre, which was followed by the shot heard round the world at Lexington and Concord. But it's not until Thomas Paine writes his novelette, Common Sense, that we decide to finally break away. Of course, one of the key battles was when we were able to defeat that British army in New York, Saratoga, which meant French help. Washington, with the help of the French, is able to surrender, cause the British to surrender at Yorktown. Of course, our first government, our weak government, the Articles of Confederation, led for a brief moment for people to think maybe we should have a new king. And now coming out of that, we had our Constitutional Convention, in which we put those Enlightenment ideas to work for a new government. All right, let's move on to the third and final. You got 14 events dealing with the French Revolution. So you can push pause here, see if you can get these numbers in order, do it correctly. And here we are with the correct answers. So at the top, you've got King Louis XVI ruling, not well, but ruling. You've got a severe amount of inequality in the 3 estates. Theoretically, you could switch those two, top and bottom. Because of the inequality, They quickly realized that the only way for them to achieve equality is with a new government, so they make the tennis court oath. Shortly after that, storming the Bastille, which begins the French Revolution. Louis is one of the first victims of the Revolution and will be guillotined shortly thereafter, which leads us down the Committee of Public Safety and the Reign of Terror, which ends when the main proponent of the Reign of Terror, Maximilien Robespierre, is guillotined himself. His government is replaced by the weak Directory, which Napoleon promptly overthrows in a coup d'etat. But Napoleon, growing into an emperor, taking the crown, continental system against England, and then decides to invade Russia and got scorched. As a result of losing that, he's exiled to Elba, from which he escapes, which they called that the 100 Days. But after escaping, he meets Wellington at Waterloo, defeated again, and King Louis XVIII is placed back on the throne. Theoretically, you could have King Louis XVI here and here. Anyways, that's a short review for the American and French Revolution. You have a review sheet in your packet that has this chronology in it and some work on reaction romanticism. So make sure you pull that out. Take a moment to work on your French and American Revolution review. Okie doke. Look forward to taking your test. Coming soon.